If I may have your attention, we're going to call the meeting to order. I knew Bob really well. Right over Bob. See you playing brief.
Dr. Jackson.
Good, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to West End. Well,
Almost.
that would come right. Here, there.
Not bad practice.
We're span of.
Oh, so good to see.
Sure.
So that's what. Your turn.
You so wild.
I know wide awake. So pretty here.
Love a little bit.
Hey, you want to? All right, I don't think they want to be honest.
Well, you know, you did. Picture. Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of in our post hoc service. But not in match to Nashville. Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, if I can have your attention, we're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. This is the June 2nd meeting of the Opioid Abatement Council, Jackson, Tennessee. And we also have folks online. I'm going to ask our director, Ms. Shelton, to receive the roll call vote.
Okay, Armando Fontes. Brian Buck,
Here.
Clay Jackson,
Here.
Kenny Moore,
Here.
Lisa Tipton. Here. Mike Flynn,
Here.
Ron Cowan,
Here.
Tim Fournette,
Here.
Tommy Farmer,
Here.
Tyler Barrett,
Here.
Shane Sexton,
Here.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Present.
Steve Lloyd. Steve is absent today. Wayne Wyckoff,
Here.
And we do have a quorum. I want to express gratitude to each of you who've taken time and effort to be here. Not on the agenda directly, but we do appreciate the presence of our commissioner here today, Bree, and we often begin this meeting in talking about our why. And I know I could put you on the spot because you're always ready, but I'd just like for you to comment briefly, if you could, and read about what you have seen in the change in our state since commission has begun. What are you seeing on the ground? What are you hearing from people about? Is there impact? And are we seeing lives change as a result of the work not only the department has been doing, but now the commission's been established, our community grants are going forward, our county funds going forward. How have you seen the landscape change from your position?
I really appreciate you asking that, and good morning to everybody. A couple of things I'd say. Number one, you got incredible leadership with the Opioid Abatement Council. So a lot of what's happening is based on Mary and her leadership of her team and what they've been doing related to the accountability of the dollars, right? So when I talk to other commissioners across the country and I look at what we've done in this state, it's phenomenal. We got out the gate very fast. You all did as a council, and came up with a way in which we wanted to move forward. Based on that way to move forward, we got some providers in the community, providers here. I think what they'd say to you is these dollars have helped bridge gaps where they can serve more people. And when you look at the stats in our state, we show every year when I go before the legislature, and y'all have seen me do this, the donut poll that looks at how many individuals in this state are struggling with opioid use disorder as well as other addictions. And in our state, people have a bigger gap. That means there's more people trying to access treatment than there are doors to open. So what I've seen, what I've heard from people that have received the dollars is this really has helped us serve more people. And when you serve more people, we know that that means more people in recovery. What happens when people get in recovery? People are able to give back to their communities. They're able to be part of a family system and be respected. They're able to give to their faith communities if they're a part of a faith community. It's just a win-win. So those would be my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. We're thankful for your work, and we do appreciate the department in terms of being the institutional structure under which many of our Opioid Abatement Council staff members function, and we're very thankful for that. And as you mentioned, I'm very proud of the work that they're doing. And we call it, I guess, the office. But I think I speak on behalf of the entire council members. It's the work of the office that allows us to come to these meetings and in between meetings, understand what's going on and keep the work ongoing, because meeting quarterly as volunteers, we cannot obviously do the work and keep the work going without the expertise of the council. That leads to our next introduction, Sean Smith, who's our deputy director, sitting directly to my left. Sean, say hi.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Oh, I thought you were gonna do more with the microphone. Hey, you still had the talking stick, Sean. I wasn't gonna try to pry it from your hands. That Second Amendment bumper sticker. And then we have Sam Boothly, who's our counsel to the OAC, and we appreciate him being here as well. Sam?
Good morning.
And JP Urban, I believe, is online with us, the Senior Deputy Attorney General in the financial and regulatory section. So a good guy to know and not a good guy to be on the bad side of. JP?
Good morning, everybody. Please be with you.
Appreciate you being here. Dr. Lloyd, as Mary mentioned, could not make it back into town for this meeting. So obviously I'm standing in as vice chair, not vice lord. Let's see, we have minutes next. Trust everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes from the March 5th quarterly meeting and the April 14th emergency meeting. Any comments, or do we have a move to approve?
Move we approve both sets of minutes.
I have a motion from General Flynn to approve both sets of minutes. I have a second, Dr. Barrett. Any discussion? Barry, would you proceed with the roll call vote?
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Cornette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wykoff.
Yes.
I do apologize, that approval of minutes was not listed in the agenda, but you guys know that's not sneak in. That's a standard for our meeting that we do each time. We now move to motions from the previous meeting. Director Shelton, this recurring agenda item where we go over what we did at the last meeting just for continuity's sake. And Mary, take that away.
Sure. So I'm so happy that we have these motions and we're able to see what we talked about in the last, and this is showing the motions from the March 5th meeting and the April 14th meeting, which was the emergency meeting. And the March 5th meeting, we were talking a good bit about the community grants and a lot of those motions. And then the work that we did in the April 14th meeting, you're going to see it play out as Sean is presenting some carryover requests and no cost extension requests and modification to the contract request. So it's good to see this play out here, and we can see these motions put into work. Any questions on the motions?
I think for some of us that are over the midway mark of life, if we have these slides, I appreciate it being on one slide, but I'll make it a magnifying glass next time.
You got it. I'll get you. I'll put it on one big slide. That's a great idea.
That's a joke. That's a joke. Any questions about the motions that we did approve and the ones that were removed? from the table? All right. The agenda has been altered a bit today. We did expect Steve to be in attendance, and we had some recognition that was planned for him. And that involved, recognized OAC member. We will, roast and praise Steve as is appropriate at a future time. So we're going to vacate that from the agenda. That leads us to, I believe,
Let me get that.
you want to say a moment about,
Yeah.
have a comment about that.
Yeah, so Dr. Lloyd is going to be stepping down as the OAC chair as of June 30th. The chair of the Opioid Abatement Council is appointed by the governor, and that's set forth in the Opioid Abatement Council statute. So we have reached out to the governor's office about the vacancy, and we actually have a meeting with the director of appointments next Monday. So we will be talking with him about the next steps for the Governor Lee appointing a chair. So I will keep the council posted on that.
Any questions about that transition? All right, community advocacy panel. Hey,
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we had a vacancy in Region 1, an individual that was originally on the panel, was kind of retiring from the field and felt that the position would be better suited by somebody who's actively involved in the treatment space. So we had a few applications, really good applications, and we ended up landing on Miss Marissa Cluck. And we're asking for you to approve her addition as a Region 1 representative for the Community Action Committee. Happy to answer any questions.
you should have in your packet the description of Ms. Fluck's background.
Move approve.
Have a motion for approval, Dr. Moore.
Second.
Here a second. Barrett, any discussion? Call question. Barrett, you receive a roll call vote.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Ken Fournette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
We now proceed with fiscal updates.
Got one more slide.
I'm sorry.
We would also like to take a moment to thank our panel members who have made the trek here to the meeting in person. We have Mr. Chris Smith over here. West Tennessee is showing out there. We've got Ms. Paula Hopper in the back, and Ms. Arsania, she just stepped out. We have her as well, and we have our chair, Ms. Betty Mason. So thank you all for coming out. And I believe we have some folks attending online as well. I don't have the list ahead, but if you're attending online, raise your hand. And glad you're with us. But we're not gonna hang out in our studio.
Okay, thank you.
We would, as a council, join Nathan in recognizing and appreciating your work. It's essential that we have all the grassroots information that we can manage to help us in our work. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, now we get to fiscal updates. I'd like the secretary to try and get through this agenda today. Thank you. Fiscal update.
Okay, Melissa and I are going to ping pong and just see where you're at. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa and we're going to go back and forth on these slides.
Thank you, Mary, and I'll hold Dr. Dex. Probably need a magnifying glass for this as well. First, we'll go over our opioid abatement trust fund statement. And this information from the next slide is as of March 2026. This is our most recent fiscal report that we have. And our ending fund balance is $177,376. $177,000 million. Thank you. $376,555.67 net tax available. This includes our settlement deposits, interest earned through March, and the distributions that we have made to counties and the community grantees as of March 31st. Next slide. So this slide is a little more up to date than the last one. This shows our total amounts paid to cycle one grantees, the amount that we awarded, $221 million. And we've paid just over 90.9 million, which is 41%. Cycle two, we've awarded 63.7 million, and really excited about this, that we've already gotten just over 1.5 million out the door for these contracts that we started in January, which reflects 2%. We just also made the fourth county payment, which is the county FY26. So another 95 counties have gotten 16.9 million. Which brings our total to just shy of 200 million, the day I ran these reports, but that's 51% of the money we have is out the door, so. The next slide. This is the number of community grant invoices we paid as of, May 12th. So as of that day, we paid 2,040 invoices, for 92.5 million. This was actually updated, I believe, May 26th. I don't think we updated that day, but this was the most recent we've had as of that date. So again,
And this will be cycle one and cycle two.
this
This
is
all
cycle
invoices.
one,
Okay.
cycle
All right.
two, all invoices. So the first fiscal year, we paid 915 invoices. So far, the second year, we paid 1,125. Any questions about that? The next slide is the discretionary fund, which is the fund the council approved. And as of April 23rd, we spent $963.57 of the $10,000. So again, we are doing well and being very conservative on that.
All right, I'm going to take over the slide right here. I've got a couple of updates and requests within the fiscal updates. So I'm requesting a contractor. And we have an outcomes report that is due in September showing the results of the community grant cycle one. And we have had a leave of absence of a staff member, and we're also needing some subject matter expertise on how to put together this outcomes report. So I'm requesting of approval for a time-limited contractor to complete this outcomes report. And the estimated cost range is $13,000 to $15,000, and it would be done ahead of the September 1 due date. So I'm requesting a motion to authorize contracting with this subject matter expert.
You have your motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, I don't know,
Given the.
Wade Wyckoff.
I don't know about the second vote.
I did
So
it.
we have a- From Wyckoff, second was
Tim.
Tim
Fournette.
Fournette.
Got it.
Mary, could you tell us a little bit about, to whom this outcomes report will go, who will be viewing this, and what type of format? Is it a glossy? Is it an online? What does this outcomes report look like?
Sure, happy to do so. So it will be for the public in general. But every year, I meet along with members of my team with the Opioid Trust Fund trustees. And that includes the Commissioner of Finance Administration, who's Commissioner Bryson, the Treasurer, Treasurer Lillard, and then the Opioid Abatement Council Chair. And I give them updates on how the office, how the council is progressing. And Commissioner Bryson has asked over the past 2 meetings about outcomes. And so I've told him we have this outcomes report. Now we're paying them. Now they're having outcomes. So going to present to the trustees the outcomes report, and then also to the council. What have y'all been funding? What are the outcomes of those grantees? It will be a document, probably a 15 to 30 page PDF document. We hope to highlight one grantee under each strategy that is showing exceptional, good outcomes that we can all learn from. And there'll hopefully be in there some lessons learned as well. So I'm still working on what the actual structure will look like, but I do want to highlight at least one grantee under each of the 6 strategies.
So something like a little bit of story, narrative, a lot of data, some infographics to make the data
Qualitative
understandable.
and quantitative.
Okay, all right.
Yes, and pictures.
Got it.
Mary, will we all be getting a copy of that to peruse?
Yes, Wayne, you will get a copy. I'll make sure of that.
Any further discussion or questions about the scope of this report, expectations, and what's needed? No further discussion. I'll call the question. Mary, proceed with roll call vote.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Cornett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wykoff.
Yes.
All right, next slide is mine. We were approached by someone from Sumner County that was looking for an internship, and it is something that Sean and I have talked about for a while. I was an internship director back in the first part of my career, and then when Sean and I were working at TN in the behavioral health operations, Sean had a couple of interns from NTSU social work department, and we'd like to give this a try. This is more of an update, not asking permission, because I'm planning to use money out of the discretionary fund. And I've been working with the Department of Mental Health, Department of HR, making sure that we're following all the rules for interns. They either have to receive college credit, or they have to get paid. So Nathan has taken the lead here, working with HR, working with the intern. We've interviewed her. She lives in Sumner County and is going to Auburn, very interested in public policy and the opioid epidemic landscape. So we're going to pay this out of the discretionary fund and then report back to you guys as if this is something we would like to continue. What type of value does it bring to the office? What type of value does it bring to the council? So trying to give this a good effort here, and we'll let y'all know how it goes. Any questions on the internship? Yes.
Is it possible that we might hear from the intern at one of our meetings? Is that as far as the work that they did and what the impact was?
Our next meeting is September 2nd, and she'll probably be back in school, but we may could do like a Zoom call with her.
Yeah.
We make a-
Definitely make a note of that, for sure.
That's a great idea, Ken. Thank you. All right, next up, I've got the bills in here because it affects the fiscal. One bill affects our fiscal, our cash flow. So just real briefly, there were 2 bills that we were following during this last session. The first one was House Bill 1949. It did not pass. That was going to do advance payments to grantees. The next bill, House Bill 1816, that did pass, and that does distribute money from the fund to the Department of Mental Health and to TN. And I am going to now turn it back over to Melissa because we have numbers up there.
So this next slide has been requested by Dr. Jackson and also Dr. Vanderpool about our cash flow statement. So we prepared this slide in response to the bill. So I thought this would be as good a time as any to share this. So this has our starting budget balance of FY26, which is what cash we had available, what we anticipate to collect in settlement collections each year, including Purdue, which is been newly added. This also, in the second block of numbers, has our payments for cycle 1 and cycle 2. So what we're obligated to pay those grantees and what we think we'll pay those by fiscal year through FY29. And then also our payment for cycle 3, which we have announced would be 84 million in our announcement of funding. And I just divided that by 3, so 28 each year. It may not fall out exactly that way depending on what you award. And then we have our OAC department expenses. And then we've added the TN distribution, the Department of Mental Health, substance use services, and then 10% of our collections. So this has at the bottom of each fiscal year, we anticipate our remaining balance to be for each year. So I hope that answers Dr. Vanderpool, if you got some questions about our cash flow now that this has been updated. Any questions?
I have a question. Thank you for putting the statement together, Dr. Vanderpool. On fiscal year 29, that $2.2 million is revenue less expenses. Is there a cushion? Is there retained earnings? Is there something to backfill that when you get into single digit millions, it makes me a little nervous because things can swing. Settlement collections cannot go as planned, and we want to make sure that we can fulfill all of our obligations.
No, there is not a cushion in that number at this time.
So in response to your question, Dr. Vanderpool, Melissa, help me understand this. If I'm understanding this slide correctly, that 2.3 million is just the difference between fiscal year 29 revenue and expenses. There's still the fund balance where if we did have, let's say it was, rather than being 2.3 positive, if we were $1 million down, we still have money in the fund, right, that we could draw from.
At the end of FY 29, we would only have 2.2 million based on the projection.
That was my concern.
Okay. Now, share your concern.
Quick question, Melissa. We heard from Michael Lethwich the other day of some smaller settlements. Does this contemplate those settlements?
Does not have those. We just got those yesterday. They're smaller. It's the ones that we
Did the cash equivalent?
accepted the cash for. So we will have some of those to come in. So I'm optimistic that this will increase.
Okay, so over the next week, Melissa can take, because Michael made out a grid of the next payments that we're getting. Why don't we update this and then we can send it out to the council members?
I want to make a comment that as a council, we were very intentional and meticulous about determining our budget amount that we were going to offer for the cycles. And the challenge that we're facing right now is that we made this determination anticipating the bill that just allocated $4.1 million to TennCare 3 years in a row. And because of that, and also the TDM, the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services distribution in fiscal year 27, which I don't think was originally in the budget. And so the reason I bring this up is because as a council, we're making forward forecasting plans based on the available information. So when a bill comes in that changes the amount that is distributed out of the fund, it then jeopardizes our ability to maintain the commitments we've made for these 3-year grants. I just wanted to put that out there. The bill has been passed, it's been signed by the governor, but we have to be very intentional, and I don't know who that falls under in terms of being aware of any other bills that may want to utilize abatement fund money, but that is how we got in this position for fiscal year 29. It wasn't that we were not proactive in planning. It was because we had made a plan with the available cushion based on information that was available to us. And then a bill that was unrelated to the planning of this OAC came in and took out basically $35,000 out of, or $35 million out of the cushion that we had previously allocated.
Well, Dr. Vanderpool, I think your point in general, well noted. However, 35 million doesn't cover it. There's 37 million on the board in terms of the 3 fiscal year payments. So one-time payment of 25 million, that's 37. But then there's a 10% reduction per annum of our collections after we have paid the counties. And so, just on this slide, that adds up to napkin math, about 15 million over 4 fiscal years. And so this does significantly impact, it will significantly impact our future award capability in terms of community grants. I think what Dr. Vanderpool, the concern that she's raising and that we've discussed as council members is, will we have to renew on grants that we have awarded? Will we be able to pay or will we not be able to pay? Based on what the legislature has tasked us to do. I mean, in communication with various members of the legislature about this bill as it went forward, basically the response is, you know, this is what's going to happen. The bill's going to pass, and it has. And so we, as is, we have to deal with it the best we can. My personal hope is, as council member, vice chair, is that we have enough revenue from the settlements we were not aware of. We have enough revenue with Purdue going in that we'll be able to meet our obligations. We made promises to these people. Those promises were made in good faith, based on funds that were our purview and charge from the governor to spend. That charge and purview has changed. So we just have to do what we can. I do appreciate your efforts in bringing this forward. And I think all the council appreciate updated numbers as the other settlements come in. I do think it would be wise once we get to a cycle 4, if and when that happens, that we might want to be more conservative. Because honestly, I don't think any of us have a guarantee that the legislature might not reappropriate funds in the future or look at a need and affect distributions at another time. I've not heard that would happen, but I'm one person, and we're in a position that is challenging, but I think that we're going to be able to meet our stated obligations. Fair.
Vice Chair, just a clarification, Melissa, the community grants, these are the dollars we've awarded, not necessarily the dollars that have been paid. So based on your previous slide,
That's correct.
It's like 41%. So yeah, unless 100% of the dollars that we award get paid, we will have a bit of a push in.
This is a good point, and I was thinking in my mind, I didn't say out loud, and it's not, it doesn't sound nice to say, well, hopefully some of those people won't send us invoices because they won't do all the work. That's not a good way to say it, but practically we know there were some that had to withdraw from the process. Practically, we know that some overestimated what their expenses were going to be. Some people submitted invoices that we ruled inappropriate and not pay, inappropriate is a pejorative term, but they didn't fall under what we would pay for. So it is not 100%. You make a good point. These are what we have pledged. Not all of those dollars will actually go out of the fund store. And that's a good point as well. And so we have the Purdue, we have the smaller settlements, we have the fiscal and practical reality that not all dollars that were awarded will be dispensed. So those three things may allow us to honestly squeak by and meet our promised obligations under a different fiscal reality. Yes, Dr. Moore.
Well, we're getting ready to go to cycle 3. So as we consider cycle 3, if there's great concern, we could award less grants in cycle 3 to build up their reserves. So we can keep that in mind too. I know we'll be kept up to date as far as what the fund balance is, and how we move forward. So I think it's a concern, but I think that we have plenty of ways to build that cushion if we need to. As you point out, cycle 4, but we still have cycle 3.
It's a good point, Dr. Moore, and when I say we've made promises, it's one thing to say we plan to award this much in this cycle. It's quite another to sign a contract with somebody and come back. Once the contract is signed, that gets very difficult. So this is something we may consider, and that's why I think those updates are at a premium, so that before we make awards in cycle 3, we can consider that and what reserve need to be. Wayne, you have your hand raised. I apologize, I didn't see it. Mary told me, so kudos to Mary. Wayne?
She's quick. I just did it. This graph I would like to see it go from fiscal year 21 all the way to 30, and then add a column on the very end on the right-hand side, which is a total amount, so that we can look at both uh, the granular numbers and the summation numbers at the same time.
All right, Melissa's making that note. Thank you, Wayne.
Any questions always asked before? This you good? Okay. Anyone else online that we missed?
Dr. Clay, I would say I find this concerning. I find it concerning for many of the reasons that have already been pointed out. Two, the council is committing money to these community grants, and this does potentially impact us. It also sets a precedence that who's to say that the legislature doesn't come back and do this again and provide supplemental funding to other departments. So that's where question one, where's the opposition to this presented to the legislature? Who opposed it? And then number two, what is the Attorney General's review on this as pulling these funds and reallocating these funds, one, after they've already been committed, and two, does it fall within the guidelines of the settlement?
In terms of your second question, Tommy, and again, I don't want to get above my pay grade, Sam's sitting here, but with respect to falling in the settlement, I mean, it's clearly in the bill as published and signed. It states that these are, what it's for, and it does fall within the 9 categories or whatnot. So this is not the legislature saying, hey, we're going to take 25 million and we're going to fill potholes. That's not what they did. It does go to, honestly, a lot of the same goals that we have. In terms of the end use of the monies, I think that we can all agree the things that are listed here in the bill are laudable things. It's just a question of, as you mentioned, Tommy, are we able to meet the obligations for the promises that we made to people? I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do that. The legislature made this council as a point of statute, and as elected representatives, they have the right to have legislation that affects our existence or the way that we do business. That's just the way it is. And that was the way it was explained. So I share some of your concerns about will we be able to meet our obligations as we join this council and agree to serve. I think that we're going to be able to. But I do agree, Dr. Moore, we need to take a close look at things. I agree, Wayne, we need to look at the big picture and see how we're doing. And it would be embarrassing to say we're going to give X million in round 3 and then give X minus Y million. It would be far more embarrassing to make grant awards and then the day of the contract signing say, sorry guys, we need to cut this by 15%. So I think we need to be well aware as we enter this cycle, the next few meetings, that we have some fiscal realities that were completely unanticipated by this council that we have to take account of. Yes, sir.
I know we need to move on in the agenda, but just one last comment. I think this emphasizes even more the report that we approved marriage, because I think this community report is showing the benefits of this work. And I would recommend that that report be distributed to every member of the legislature also. So if they're seeing that this is the product of this work and it's showing significant improvements, they may be less likely to want to divert funds from it, away from that programming.
And to that point, Sean and I actually met with Leader Lambert a couple of months ago and promised him this report in September. So he's definitely on.
Great.
And yes.
Oh, I was just wondering, do we have a provision in our grant awards that states that it's contingent available on funding like the NIH does?
Yeah, each contract says it's subject to the availability of funding, and there's also termination language for against other things.
Thank you very much for that question and for that answer, Sam. I also just want to address any potential awkwardness. I mean, some of these funds are going directly to the department. Commissioner Sear has been a tremendous supporter of this commission from the beginning, this council, and the commissioner and I have spoken about this as this has percolated through the legislature, et cetera. And I have found personally that she's been a tremendous supporter of this council. And so I don't want anyone to draw any unwarranted conclusions about what the politics of this are. You know, these are funds. The legislature has the ability to do what the legislature does at its will, and they have their role. In the government, we have our role. So part of that. But the commissioner has been incredibly helpful at every turn. And I don't want any, I don't, she's our friend. In terms of the commission,
Yes.
Problem says that.
Well, can I say something? It is a little awkward. And just a couple things I'd like to say so that everybody's clear. We didn't know about this bill. I can tell you we didn't know about it because we were working on grant proposals that we were going to bring forward to this cycle. Matt Yancey, who's there, was working on those with me. As soon as we saw that bill, I called him and I said, we need to pull this for right now because that wouldn't feel right to submit something if this passes. The other thing I think is really important is as soon as we saw the bill, I immediately sent it to Mary Shelton and to Dr. Lloyd. I wanted them to see that. And then to Tommy's question, the other thing I did is I reached out to the AG's office once the bill passed and was signed. And JP, I think you can speak to this question about, is it within the confines of the opioid settlement dollars? And then finally, what I'll say, because we really do want to be responsive to this council, that's always been our intent. I asked Mary and Sean to please send me what the grantees fill out for the dollars that are awarded by you all. And I can assure you that for whatever dollars we award, this will be filled out. We will be as transparent as what you've requested other grantees to be, and we will follow this in line. So I very much appreciate your kind words, and I hope that that helps people that might have wondered what happened, how this happened. We really weren't aware until the bill was dropped. So thank you. JP, do you want to speak to the list and the question that Tommy raised?
Sure, I'm happy to, and just confirming sort of what's already been said. I compared the public chapter 960's language with the list of approved opioid remediation and the definition of that within the settlement agreements, and it definitely falls into that scope. As to the funds that will go to the department, they're to be used for the purposes of funding crisis residential and inpatient treatment services for uninsured individuals with co-occurring mental health and substance use disorders. This idea of co-occurring mental health and substance use disorders is found within the non-exclusive list of remediation, as well as the definition of opioid remediation in the settlement agreements. And so, to that extent, the public chapter 960 is consistent with the settlement agreement.
Thank you, JP, for that. And thank you, Commissioner, for your words. If you heard what she said, go above and beyond to kind of meet our reporting requests in money that's going to be granted block. She doesn't have to do that. Department doesn't have to do that extra work. You report to somebody, but it's not in our format. So I think that shows the spirit of cooperation and collaboration. And, regardless of who the ongoing chair is as far as July 1st, I expect, as a council member, to see us move forward with a collegial and productive relationship with the department, the same has been from day one of this council. And I just appreciate you being here today, Marie, and I appreciate our opportunity to deal with that. We took a little bit of extra time, but Stephen wasn't here, so we're still on the agenda. Are there any further questions or comments? I meant we didn't award it and give him one of those privilege plaques that cost $120. I didn't mean that he was going to filibuster. But I do appreciate your sardonic Thank you very much, Jim. All right, do we have any more discussion? Because guys, this is, I mean, a lot of this is boilerplate that we do, but every one of your reputations is on the line by serving on this committee. And the Nashville Tennessean or the Commercial Appeal or whatever your paper of record is, hasn't got hold of any of us and said, we're doing a bad job. We've done well so far, but we're all here. We're making these votes. And so, and council members all volunteer. There are thousands of hours that are sitting around the station. And so I want to make sure that you feel good about how we're managing things going forward with this new reality. Everybody okay for now? Further updates follow. All right, let's go to cycle one. Sean?
All right, thank you. Cycle one updates. So as part of managing all of our community grants, grantees continue to submit invoices, back to our fiscal slides, are getting paid for invoices submitted, and also our superintendent outcome reporting plan. Our office continues to monitor community grantees for fiscal and programmatic compliance. And then the OAC office continues to review outcome reporting plan for cycle one grantees. Getting at a total of 113 executed community grant contracts for a total of $222.8 million funding over 3 years. All right, this slide here provides an overview of several cycle one grantees who are requesting a no-cost extension request. And so, and we'll talk about those actions for three grant agencies in the next slide. But before we do that, I want to just give a little history about why we're here. So in the beginning, when we rolled out the cycle one community grant contracts, there was a delay in executing all of those contracts. And as a result of that, there have been some grant agencies who have been, since that time have been trying to catch up. And I think that has led to a number of the cycle one community grantees who are asking for a carryover request. But then some of those cycle one grantees have been impacted in a way where they are requesting a contract extension. And that's for those cycle one grant agencies with a 2-year contract that ends June 30th. And so this slide here addresses those cycle one community grantees who are at the end of their 2-year contract term. And because they still have funds resulting from the delay in those contracts being executed, they are requesting a one-time 12-month no-cost extension. As far as the contract goes, the community grant contract does support term extensions, and that shouldn't exceed any more than 12 months. Also, these three grant agencies, and that's on the next slide, the three is actually one grant agency with 3 contracts, ETSU, which is in good standing with all of those contracts, and that's the next slide, please. And you'll see here those 3 grant contracts, and also the unspent funds that have been projected for each of those contracts at the end of June 30th. So I'll pause there for any questions. All right. So at this time, will the council consider a motion authorizing the OAC executive director to approve a one-time 12-month no-cost extension for these 3 cycle one grants?
Motion.
Second.
The motion from Dr. Callen, second from Dr. Barrett. Discussion? Yes, sir, Dr. Moore.
Hypothetically, we give them the 12-month extension and we get into year 4 and they still haven't expended the money. What does our contract say?
Well, we wouldn't, so if we extend the contract, it would be effective June 1st, 2026, and it would end June 30th of 27. So at that time, it would not be extended.
Correct. Okay.
Any other questions?
And they're in good
in good standing?
Good standing.
Yes.
They've done everything. They're just slow to get the money out the door for whatever reason.
That's correct.
Tim, you have your hand up?
Yeah,
Go ahead, sorry.
my question is, the initial language said no greater than 60 months, 12-month extension, not greater than 60 months. I wonder why that wasn't 48 months instead of 60.
I didn't hear that question, but
He's asking about the term extension.
okay.
So there is, our max grant, as I understand it, is 3 years. But in no event should the maximum term exceed a total of 60 months.
Yeah, it's standard contract.
So if we did vote like Ken said, we said, okay, something came up, we had an earthquake, had a storm. Just, there's no contract that goes over 60 months period. Is that what we're saying, Sam?
Correct. So you could technically extend it again after next year.
But we would have no recourse for month 61.
Right. Per the
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
You can't go beyond.
Yeah.
60.
Okay.
Dr. Cornett, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Perfect. Just language and wordsmithing here. I just had a question about community grantees. CTSB is the overarching institution, but do we consider the different applicants to be different grantees?
Well, we're treating those as three, because ETSU has a total of 10 grant contracts, just like the
Yeah.
we're counting those as separate entities.
I got you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Mary, can you call for a roll call vote?
Ron Dutt,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tiffin. Yes. Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Cornett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wykoff.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. So in the emergency meeting, the last emergency meeting, the council approved carryover request guidelines for community grants and also guidelines for contract, grant project modifications and grant contract amendments. This slide right here focuses on the decision matrix that is associated with the carryover request. So I just want to spend some time on this because this is going to help you better understand how we scored or assigned a risk for the carryover requests on the next slide. So just quickly to go, I'm going to go back to that slide. Thank you. If you see here, there are several review factors, and based on those review factors, there's low, moderate, or high risk assigned to that. And so when we were reviewing the carryover requests that we received, all of those requests and the grant agencies who were requesting those, the review factors only applied to the impact that it was going to have on the budget or the amount of the carryover. And everything, the other review factors, either met expectations or did not apply. So next slide, please. Thank you. So you see here, we have a total of 5 Cyber One grant agencies who have submitted carryover requests to carry over their year 2 funds into year 3. And so before I go into further, I wanted to also explain, we had received most of these requests before the carryover guidelines had been fully implemented, you know, having a form that grant agencies will submit. That is actually being implemented now, but these agencies had submitted their requests before that. So moving forward, how we will bring these to the council will look a little differently. But for the purpose of these, I'll just kind of go through each one of those and kind of briefly explain the carryover justification based on what was communicated to us. But also, I want to point out that the risk that was assigned to each one of these carryovers is based solely on the amount of the carryover request compared to their FY26 budget. And then there's a percentage there. that percentage, any, the percentage was 25% or greater, that gave them a high risk score. And the reason for the high risk with such a high volume of number of carryover, is for many different reasons, but one important reason is that if you've got a very large number of funds that carry over from one year to another, that could potentially be, an indication that for whatever reason, you're not spending your money and you can't spend your money. It could also mean that you were able to fund your project appropriately, but you just have extra money that you don't need. And so having that risk assignment helps us to better understand exactly what may be motivating the need for a request. It also, we were able to go back and have some conversations with some of these grant agencies to better understand their need to carry over these funds. And so with the first request, ETSU, this is, they had 2 grant contracts that were requesting a carryover. The first request is their scholarship. This is their education and training. It's the strategy. It's a scholarship grant project. And so as you can see, the amount of carryover they're wanting to carry over is very low. This is going to allow them to fund those students who are in need of a scholarship in the summer session. The next request is another ETSU contract for recovery and support. As you can see, that the amount that they're requesting to carry over is going to represent 49.3% of their FY27 budget. But again, this is one of those carryovers that's primarily related to a delay in their Cycle 1 grant project being initiated or being executed. And then I also have some language here that kind of speaks to what they plan to do with the carryover funds if approved. Next is TADIS. TADIS is a little different simply because this is pertaining to their behavioral health scholarship initiative. And this is part of the $2 million that we had awarded the Department of Mental Health, and $1 million went to TADIS, another $1 million went to TANHO. And so for TANHO, they are requesting to roll over approximately 7.6% of their FY26 budget. And again, this is due to the way students are enrolled in the semesters and just making sure that the disbursement of these scholarships are following the students' enrollment schedule.
I'm sorry, Sean, you said, I heard you say 7.6%, but that's 74%, right?
Thank you. Yes,
All right.
74.6%.
You're giving us a lot of stuff here. I just want to make sure.
And if I need to slow down.
You're good. You're good. We got it from.
Okay, great. The next grant carryover request is Voluntary Treatment Center. They are asking, again, when you look at, the total FY26 budget, their carryover request only represents 6.09% of their FY26 budget. Again, this was also due to delays in their Cycle 1 contract being executed. Actually, their contract didn't get executed until November. And so again, still trying to play catch up there. And then finally, we have Vanderbilt University Medical Center, and their amount of carryover also is sort of high. That's again because it represents 41.6% of their FY26 budget. And this is another one of those grant agencies who their contract is delayed, and they've been just trying to catch up. Again, I think it's important and that this is something we consider. I mean, a lot of lessons learned when we were rolling out these grants initially. And I do think that as a result of some of those initial delays, it's probably going to lead the impact here again next year, asking the council to consider an extension of some Cycle 1 grant agencies with a 3-year contract that are going to turn June 30th of next year. All right, any questions? So at this time, will the OAC consider a motion to determine approval or denial of community grant carryover requests?
Sean, so are we going to vote individually or do we each one? Or just the
That's up to
recommendation?
the council.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I'm gonna argue as acting chair today, that we should one up and one down, that they should be individual. Because we want one institution to be penalized. I mean, just the way we've made the grid, I think we got 3 reds there and 2 blacks. And, you know, regardless of what those mean, and I think this is analogous to when we made the scoring initially. We made the scoring on how we thought it should work. And when it came to cycle 2, we revised things a little bit about the scoring because we learned through a cycle how we wanted that to look. And I think we made a grid and it says high risk. Sean, I think you've done a great job of explaining that just because it says high risk, there may be reasons for that. It's just the red means, let's pay attention. Let's look at this one a little carefully and see if it makes sense. You know, we'll probably revise this as we go forward. But this is the grid that we have. I would argue that we do need to vote on these individually.
Individually?
Yes. Unless council opposed to that, it's what we'll do.
And we have a conflict, we just abstain.
Oh, yes, as always, if you're employed or affiliated with one of these institutions, please recuse yourself from the vote and let us know before we begin the roll call vote. Please.
I have a question. Is anyone opposed to grouping the 2 low-risk ones, or do we have challenges where some might need to abstain and some may not?
I want to take them all individually.
I support taking them individually. I think it
Yeah.
sends a better message.
Sends a better message, and it creates the appearance that there's an alliance, and if somebody gets voted down, then we got to explain why we voted down to 2 institutions, and I don't know what to parse it out. Let's do it individually.
So
I move that we approve East Tennessee State's Education and Training Grant Contract ID 84234.
Have a motion from Dr. Moore,
Second.
second. Dr. Barrett, any discussion on ETSU 84234? Sir.
Well, I'm a little concerned about the pattern of the ETSU, that they can't spend all the money that we granted them. So I say that for them to understand that we have some concerns, and our goal is to get the money out the door and get the people in recovery and treatment. So just a little bit of warning shot across the bow to ETSU.
Sean, I'll leave you to communicate that with them, that, you know.
And also want to add too, that with the new process of grant agencies being able to submit a formal request for carryover and where they will actually detail their justification, I'll be able to present information that's actually going to be exactly word for word for what they've sent me, as opposed to paraphrasing. That's something that I, just want to make sure that I don't do, that I misrepresent the issues or the request here. But I agree, and I will certainly not only echo that to the issue, but I think that's just good information that we just need to share with all of our grant agencies to make sure that they're managing the funds, because the expectation is that you spend it, but you spend it wisely, because, not necessarily just spend it all, because you may not need to spend it all. We just want to make sure that you spend it based on your original grant project and what you told us you were going to do.
Any further?
Just a quick question for Sean, procedural question. Are these agencies, when they anticipate a delay earlier in the year, are they reaching out to you and letting you know, I'm running into challenges with my IRB or this contract person at the updates? Because I'm just thinking for the council, for us, if somebody they're clearly showing due diligence and moving it forward, and delays happen. Any of us have done research, or done treatments, these things happen, as opposed to right before the end of fiscal year, just letting you know right then. So I think as we move forward and look through our process, being updates to the office about these things, I think is a factor we should also kind of take into account.
And they do, for the most part. I think that that's something that's happened as this community grant project has evolved. I think grant agencies have become hard to build those relationships where they do reach out And it comes to us in the form of a grant project amendment or a grant project modification because they realize there's delays. They want to keep us updated on what those things are.
Any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Call the question. Mary, roll call vote for ETSU 84234.
Ron Bug,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Glenn,
Yes.
Ron Calvin,
Yes.
Tim Fournette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Beckerpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
Now we have ETSU 84478. I'll entertain a motion or discussion regarding 84478.
I'll make a motion.
Barrett moves. Is that a motion to approve, sir?
Motion to approve 84478.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Who seconded it online? Hey, Wayne, okay, so we have a motion by Barrett, second from Wayne Wyckoff. Any discussion on ETSU 84478? Yes, sir.
I have great concerns about this one. They've tried to find a local vendor to create the software that they need, and they're still looking for a software vendor. I'm concerned that with the amount of percentage of money that's unspent, I'll be voting against that motion.
Thank you, Dr. Boyd. Any further discussion?
I just need to make a correction on
Sure.
the second ETSU. The contract number for that was actually 85173.
Sean's informed us it's 85173, so we want to make sure the minutes reflect that. Thank you, Sean.
That's missing a number, Sean. 85173. 851.
Yes, 85173.
Oh, no, it's correct. Thank you. I was making sure we had enough digits. Thanks.
Any further discussion of ETSU 85173?
Can I just ask clarifying, have they identified, kind of following up on Dr. Moore's point, have they identified the vendor or are they still looking?
They have identified a vendor that they're going to be working with. And so that's actually, and this is as recent as just last week when I had spoken to them about this. So they're ready to move forward with that subject.
Okay.
I'd make another comment then, because this says that they are still looking, but if you clarified that,
Right.
I would be more in support and
Yes.
would
At that
support the
time,
motion.
yeah, that this was written. They were still in the process, but they have, and that was as of last week.
Thank you.
Sean, you're an angel of goodness and light. Good God Almighty. I appreciate you staying on top of things. Any further discussion? Call a question. Question's been called. Receive the roll call. Mary.
Ron Bug,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Glenn,
Yes.
Ron Calvin,
Yes.
Tim Fournette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
Carries. I realize it's tedious to go through these one by one. We may change the process in the future, guys. I'll listen to you on the will of that, but I think for this first time, let's get through it and let's see what we do. I know we block grant votes sometimes, but we've even talked about extending that day so that we can have more granular detail on those. Tatus 88566. Motion or discussion?
Move disapproval.
You move to not approve, Dr. Moore?
Correct.
So this move is to reject this extension. Is there a second? I hear no second. Is there a move to approve?
I second to reject.
So there's a motion on the floor to reject this extension to Tavis. There is a second on that motion from Dr. Vanderpool. Any discussion?
Can you provide some additional, are there any updates on beyond what is right here on the text?
I don't have any other updates, but I don't know if Mary Linden from Tavis is on the line, that she could perhaps speak and provide an update.
Somewhere I gotta find people.
I might just make a comment while she's looking, but I think there is some concern that we don't have enough people going into a behavioral health profession. And that may be one reason they're unable to spend that money.
I think the primary reason for this round was just due to how students are enrolled, and so the disbursement. So the funds that they're looking to carry over, what it was reported is that this will be spent, in the spring, with the summer, or in the fall of this year. But it's just the way students enrolled that impacts how those scholarship funds are dispersed.
It's
You
75.
can't fund a student who's not enrolled.
And it's almost 75% of the money that they
Yes, it is. Any further discussion?
Yeah, will it affect students who have been currently awarded scholarships?
I don't know that for sure, but it could potentially have an impact on.
If we pull the plug, it could affect this.
They end with, I guess, after paying tuition, so the whole pay tuition and course.
So there is a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded to reject this extension. So for clarity, council members, please understand, if you vote yes on this motion, you are voting no on the extension, right? So this is an affirmation of a negative. Everybody got it?
And could I also ask if we could possibly just bring this back in an emergency meeting, because we will most likely have an emergency meeting to present additional carryover requests. That would give me enough time to get more information, or even have Mary Linden here to speak on her behalf.
So we're planning on having emergency. We can't say that. We anticipate there might arise a need for an emergency meeting before our next quarterly meeting to talk about extension requests. And so Sean is saying, if I'm understanding correctly, that you would like to see us do that. But we have this motion seconded. We've got to vote on it one way or the other.
I was just gonna say, Sean, it'd be helpful to know for additional information, how many students have been enrolled so far, how many that they have anticipated for maybe a summer or fall. I mean, if there's 3, that's different than if there's been 30. So,
I'd like to amend my motion.
The mover wants to further move. Would you like to say that?
After further discussion, it's apparent that there's more information that's needed. And so I would request that this item be deferred until a potential future meeting, until we can get further clarification on the number of students enrolled and the prospect of this money being spent in a timely fashion.
Okay. So you want to withdraw your motion?
Yes.
To reject extension?
Yeah.
Okay. Original mover has withdrawn. Seconder, do you want to now move originally, or you want to withdraw your second?
I wasn't the second, but I would.
Sorry, Stephanie.
Stephanie was.
Well, I pointed in your direction.
Yeah, that's
Stephanie.
like in everything else.
So here's the challenge. So are we saying that if we don't approve this carryover request, that folks who are currently funded will not be able to, like scholarship recipients who are currently funded would not be able to get their scholarship, or is it they won't be able to provide new scholarships? Because the challenge we're dealing with, are they now in their second or their third year of this grant? Sean.
And I don't know the answer to that question. That was what I was hoping Mary Lyndon Salter would have been online to have spoken to that. I do know that their grant contract was executed, I think it was effective July 1, 2024. No, I'm sorry, September 1. Okay. So it was executed September 1, 2025. That time, I'm not sure how they dispersed those funds based on the college decision. You know, that that's had an impact on.
If it was just executed on September 1 of 2025, it's not even a year old, correct?
That's right. That's right.
So
So that makes a big, so let me just state this. That makes a big difference. If this was a 3-year grant and they still have 75% of their budget left, I would be concerned. But if it's a 2-year grant and they only have 75% of their budget left and they got a late start, that's not as concerning. I don't think we have enough information, unfortunately, to make a carryover approval or denial on this particular budget. According to the parameters that we set forward in the previous slide, it would be considered high risk because of the carryover percentage, but unfortunately, we don't have enough information. So I would probably, I'd withdraw my second because we don't have enough information. I was going off of this is like their last year and they have to spend 75% of their money. But we don't have clarity on that. So
let me sweep the floor a little bit with Robert's rules. We have a motions made, seconds made, they've both been withdrawn, and that was to disapprove this extension. We've had further discussion. I'm feeling that the will of the council is not to approve today or to disapprove today, but to table this. And so I'm just going to ask, does anyone want to move to approve one more last time?
I move we table it to next meeting of the Opioid Abatement Council.
Regular schedule or emergency meeting. Okay. With a view toward that would need to be before August 31st. We would need to deal with this before August 31st. Okay. So there's a motion to table this approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second for Dr. Ferris. Really? I want to make sure it's not second. Good. All right. Dr. Moore, any discussion on the tabling? Pick it back up later. Receive the roll call vote. Okay.
Ron Buck,
I'll abstain.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Burnett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
Motion carries to table. Volunteer Treatment Center 85208.
Move approval.
Dr. Moore, move approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Dr. Barrett. Any discussion? Call the question. Mary, proceed with roll call vote.
Ron Buck,
I'll abstain.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Burnett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
Motion carries to extend. Vanderbilt UMC 85102.
Is there any additional information on this one, Sean, before we make a motion?
Contract got started later. You got IRB approval.
That was the primary reason for needing a carrier, is because their contract wasn't executed until November.
Move approval.
We have a motion for approval from Dr. Moore. Second.
I have to abstain.
Oh,
Dr. Barrett's abstaining.
I'll second it.
Got a second, General Flynn. Dr. Moore, General Flynn. Any further discussion? Do have one recusal.
yes.
Two.
Two.
Oh, Nashville crowd. You're in West Tennessee now, but Mary, will you call the roll call vote? Oh, Tim, you got your hand up, Dr. Cornett?
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain also.
Okay. And we gotta get a, right? Stephen's not here. Okay. Mary, proceed to roll call vote.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson.
Yes.
Ken Moore.
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Got Ron abstaining, Tim abstaining, Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler abstaining, Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wykoff.
Yes.
Passes. Now, for those of us who drank coffee, I think this would be a good time to have a 10-minute break. Let us reconvene at 10:32. All right, we're going to reconvene, recall the meeting to order. Thank you. Sean, we're continuing with cycle one. We have moved from carryover requests to contract amendments or modification requests, and you have a matrix and then you have some requests for us. And again, we're going to take these on an individual basis. Anytime we gain has now been taken up, but we're still going to make it a schedule. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So as we did with reviewing the carryover request, I have the decision matrix here that's a part of the grant contract amendment and modification request decision, guidelines. And I just want to quickly go over this. This will kind of help explain the risk score that was assigned to the 5 requests for either a grant contract amendment or modification to their grant project on the next slide. Again, when assigning those risk scores, it was based on the criteria that was relevant for the request. And so not all of those criteria was applicable. So we'll move forward to the next slide here. So we had a total of 5 5 grant agencies. 3 of cycle 1 and 2 were cycle 2, cycle 1, yeah, and 2 were cycle 2 agencies that had made a request. The first 3 you see here are cycle 1 agencies, and they have all submitted a request to amend their cycle 1 contract. And so I'll start with the first one. Co-op has a 3-year contract, and it's for treatment, is the strategy. And so their primary reason for wanting to amend their contract was to be able to replace certain key staff. And so that actually is what gave them a moderate risk, is because the staff that they're wanting to change were all key staff that were part of the original grant project. They say that this is going to help better align staffing resources with their current operational and service delivery needs in their final grant year. And they also wanted to make it very clear that these staff changes do not change their overall goals or the scope or intended outcomes of their grant. The next grant agency with the grant.
Just ask council, y'all go ahead and vote on these after Sean's explained them. Do you want them to overview them all and then you go through? You want to do them as we go or do this?
As we go.
As we go?
It's
Is that okay with everybody? All right.
And can I just ask a clarifying question, John? So no change in the actual grants funds requested for the grant?
And that's a good question, thank you. And that applies to all of the requests for the grant contract.
Thank you.
So Sean's explained the reason for this request for modification for 85356 mental health co-op. Move. We have a motion for approval from Dr. Moore. Do I hear a second? Dr. Cowan, any discussion? Motion's moved, seconded. No discussion. We'll call the question. Mary, proceed with roll call, please.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Cornett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wykoff.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Sean, tell us about Williamson County.
Thank you. Williamson County Veterans Treatment Corp, again, is a has a 3-year contract. And they are requesting to amend their contract to reallocate approximately $40,000 from the professional, it's from their, it's due to a vacant position. And they're wanting to move those funds that was originally set to fund that position to specific or assistance to individuals. And that would represent a 34% shift in budget reallocations, which is the reason for the high risk soaring. They also clarified that those funds are going to allow them to support individuals in terms of housing support and transportation needs. And again, this position has been vacant and doesn't need to be filled at this time. And so they feel like that reallocating those funds to provide housing support and transportation would better support their grant project.
Sean, can I ask, were those original goals of the grants, or they're just expanding those a bit, or have they been looked at by the council?
As far as the housing and stuff, I'm not really sure if that was original part of their grant project or not.
But it is within our abilities where we need to be in person. It's appropriate funding.
Yes.
All right.
And also, again, with all of the agencies who are requesting a grant contract, they're all in good standing as well. So we have no concerns with their performance.
I'll move for approval 85189.
There's a motion for approval, Dr. Berry. Is there a second?
Second, Tim Fournette.
Thank you, Dr. Fournette. There's a second. Any further discussion? Having no further discussion, we'll call the question. Mayor, proceed with the roll call vote.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Recuse myself.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Burnett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Ventriple,
Yes.
Wayne Wykoff.
Yes.
Motion passes. Mid-Cumberland Human Resource Agency.
So of the 3 grant agencies requesting a grant contract, Mid-Cumberland Human Resource Agency is the only one with a 2-year contract that's ending June 30th. And so they are requesting to reallocate $90,000 from their salary budget line to capital expenses. And the reason for that is that because that $90,000 that was originally allocated for one position never got filled because the position was to support the capital project that was delayed. And so the capital project ended up being delayed. When it actually ended up getting built, they no longer needed the position. And so they're wanting to take that $90,000 and add that to capital expenses. I also wanted to point out that, so the reason for the high risk is simply because of the allocation and reallocation being greater than 25%. But there's also another concern here. It's the fact that this would increase the original amount that they were allotted for capital expenses.
Then there was unallowed costs that were identified.
There were some as a part of the fiscal monitoring review. There was approximately $54,000 that was identified as unallowed. And you may want me to help me out with this, but I believe that was because those funds, it was identified that those funds were actually incurred prior to the date of the contract execution.
Okay. So it was prior to execution, it wasn't they spent it on Jamaica?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And also want to point out that all of those, that total amount, 54,000 has to be recovered.
Okay. So it was expensive before the contract. We recovered those funds. It was not inappropriate expenditures, it's just inappropriate time.
That's correct.
Okay, but then they want to move 90,000 from salary capital.
That's going to recovery housing, but they're building recovery housing.
And they have already, that's right, and they have 11 homes that we were funding. And so this $90,000 would go to complete that project.
Yeah, I sit on that board and I'll be recusing myself, but I understand there have been some capital shortfalls as far as the need for that recovery housing, which is important.
If they're going to build a recovery house, not a building and city administration.
There's no capital in Dixon County that they're building.
No disrespect.
And Sean, if I understand Dr. Moore correctly, this would actually even support the completion of some construction that's already on this building. So potentially make it usable as opposed to. Okay.
Anybody need any more information? I'll entertain the motion to approve or is it for reject? Dr. Cowan moves to approve the modification. Dr. Barrett, seconds. Any further discussion? No further discussion. Proceed to the question. Roll call vote, please.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Recuse myself.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Cornette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Ventricle,
Yes.
Ray Whitehop.
Yes.
So the next one, Sean, this is my county. I have no association whatsoever that I know of with the Shelby County Health Department. I don't serve with the board. I've never worked there. I stepped in the building 30-something years ago as a medical student for an afternoon, precepting, but in the spirit of due diligence and above all approach, I'm going to recuse myself of this discussion. Dr. Moore, I'm going to ask you for a moment to be our acting chair for this discussion until this particular vote is over, so I don't inadvertently do anything positive or negative about Shelby County.
Okay, thank you. Community grant contract amendment modification request. Will you go over Shelby County Health Department, Sean?
So, and thank you. Shelby County Health Department and Maryville College are the two grant agencies. They are cycle 2 grant agencies. Contracts were executed or effective January 1, 2026. So of all of the 5 grant agencies, these two are the changes that they're wanting to make to their grant project are considered a grant project modification simply because the changes that they're wanting to make are will occur prior to the implementation of their grant project, and they have not invoiced for any services. So they're wanting to, make these changes before, their grant projects have been fully implemented. With Shelby County Health Department, their primary change is wanting to reallocate funds that were result from a mobile unit that a part of the original grant project, this mobile unit was going to be, they were going to subcontract with a vendor to provide the mobile unit services. And after they had been awarded the grant contract, they were able to get funding for this mobile unit through another grant source. So they are asking to take the funds that was originally allocated for hiring a vendor to manage this mobile unit, take those funds, approximately $15,000, and apply that to their FY27 budget for capital expenses. And those funds are going to be used to provide a 4th vending machine, I believe a naloxone vending machine. In addition to that, they are also proposing to make to replace one key SAT and also do some additional reallocation of funds across several other categories. Any questions? Again, similar to the Mid-Cumberland Health Resource Agency, this is another one of those grantees who is asking for an increase in their capital expenses that would increase the amount from what they were originally awarded. And I think that that's another conversation we're gonna have at some point about, you know, what percentage of the cap we can put. So, you know, keeping that in mind, these are types of questions that we get a lot from grant agencies where they may have asked for a certain amount of money for capital expenditures, but due to changes in the market, things happen, delays, they come back and they're asking for, you know, not necessarily increase in capital expenses that's going to increase their total grant budget. They're just looking to reallocate funds from one budget line to another to increase their capital expense line.
Any other questions for Sean or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the modification for grant contract 90181.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. Any discussion? Any further questions? Seeing none, ready to vote? Please call the roll.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
just saw that Tim had his panel.
Let's go back and if we could, with no objection and, who had a question? Tim?
My
Go ahead,
only
Tim.
question, yeah, I'm sorry. My only question was the reallocation of funds to multiple categories. It was just nondescript, where those funds are going to go. That on that last line of that risk justification. So we're giving them some leeway to do what they want with some of that money is what I'm understanding.
And thank you for that. And it was multiple categories and which is the reason why I chose not to add those here. But I will say that the funds that they're wanting to reallocate into multiple categories, those line items have already have funds in there now. So they wouldn't be reallocating funds to new budget line items, if that helps.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not just giving them leeway to do whatever they want with the funds. I know that's probably not the case, but I just want to be sure.
Good question. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Ready to vote? Call the roll, please.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay is abstaining. Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Burnett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll now go to Maryville College, cycle 2. Sean.
So with Maryville College, they are wanting to, again, as a part of their grant project modification, they are requesting to reallocate funds. Again, this is to multiple budget line categories. Again, those budget line items are already funded. It's just reallocating additional funds or less funds, shifting funds from one budget line item to another. The other request or change to their grant project is to the replacement of some key staff. And then I guess the primary change that they're wanting to do, which definitely had an impact on high risk, is that they are wanting to change in terms of how they measure the unique students in terms of how they're going to be measuring the outcomes of the grant project. And so as a part of their original grant project, they had stated that they would be using unique students in terms to measure participation with events, and also as a part of the counseling that they would be providing that as a part of the grant project. So to measure the progress of students attending events and attending counseling, they would be measuring the unique individual students' participation. And so they are wanting to revise part of that to only be measuring progress and outcomes for counting unique student participation only for those students who are going to be attending counseling. But for students who are going to be attending events, they want to count points of connection to be able to accurately measure those students' participation, simply because they say that because not all students who are attending these events sign up consistently for it. So it's very hard for them to actually measure the individual students who are participating in those events.
Any questions for Sean? Any further clarification? Entertain the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve 89873.
Appropriate motion, is there a second?
Second.
Tommy Farmer?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, you ready to vote? Call the roll.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yeah.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton. Yes. Mike Flynn,
Abstain.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Cornette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wykoff.
Yes.
Passes. I'll turn the roll back over to the vice chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moore. Community grants, cycle 2, John?
Great, thank you.
So as you guys know, we have a total of 42 cycle 2 grants that were awarded. Of those, 40 of those grants have been fully executed, and that represents all of the ones that did accept the awards. Grantees are selected, their process and performance measures for outcome reporting plans. Next slide, please. Again, 42 awarded community grants, 24 million for the first year of funding and 63.7 million funding over 3 years. So, I'm happy to report that all of our community grants, cycle 2 grantees have been fully executed, and that represents 40 of those because 2 withdrew their applications. That was Hamlin County and Restoration House. I also want to point out for Restoration House, that means that their capital funding, which was a total of $870,000, which I guess goes back into the trust fund. Any questions? Okay.
Cycle 3.
All right, cycle 3. So we're currently in the qualification and scoring phase for community grants cycle 3. The application portal opened on March 2nd and closed on April 6th. So I have some updates here. The approved budget was 28 million for the first year and 84 million over 3 years. And just as a reminder, here is the timeline. I have received a few questions from applicants. When are they going to hear about the applications that were awarded? And this is the schedule of events that was approved by the Opioid Abatement Council. So the anticipated date of making the announcement will be by January 15th of next year. And then the anticipated date for the contracts being effective is July 1 of 2027.
And Mary, what date do we have on fourth quarter for our meeting?
December 1, I
I
believe.
think it's December 1.
And did we agree we're gonna make them an all-day meeting?
Yes, 6 hours.
Good.
At your suggestion.
Thanks for that nice back.
Make sure that's in the record.
It's in a motion.
Thank you, former acting chair Moore.
And we will be in Knoxville for that meeting. So yes, the portal is now closed. I'm excited to say that we received 301 applicants requesting a total funding amount of $536 million, $536.6 million. So a lot of funding requested across the state. And thank you to everyone who took time to write an application and submit the application. We really appreciate it. So diving into the process, just as a reminder of how we go through this, there's eligibility and qualification review, wanting to make sure that they submitted all of the correct documents, and they meet the correct eligibility. And then it'll move to reading, review, and summary, and that's where this office staff will review those applications that are moving to scoring and do a quick summary for the scorer. Then we are going to send out a list of all of the agencies to make sure to get information about conflicts of interest from those team members that are going to be scoring and the council members that are going to be scoring. Then each agency receives 3 scores. They will be read and scored. All of them will be read and scored by Sean as the deputy director. All of them will receive an OAC member score. So one OAC member will score each application. And then the rest of the scores are going to be divided between the 2 grants analysts, Mark and David. But if it is a jail RFP, then Nathan will be scoring that. So you'll get each application.
Sorry, what was that word?
Jail pilot.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, jail pilot. I was using internal. Yeah.
I just don't know as much as you know. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the jail pilot.
Okay, all right. I didn't understand what go to Nathan, so now I do.
Yeah, those that did the jail pilot.
Okay.
So each application that moves to scoring will have 3 scores. Then in the December 1 meeting that we were just discussing, all of the applications that went to scoring will be reviewed. We'll have packages. It will be stratified by score and funding amount, similar to what we have done for the past 2 cycles. And then the council will vote. So that's how we get to awarded grants. A little bit more about what the office is doing, the eligibility qualifications, we reviewing the attachments, and completing the summary. And I just went over this in detail as well. So when the folks are reviewing and scoring the application, they are using the rubric that was published in the announcement of funding. And this breaks it down to all the scores that the eligible applications will receive.
The one concern that we had in cycles 1 and 2 was the potential that we would have reviewer reliability problems. Because Lisa and I might see the world differently. I might see rose-colored glasses. She might be more experienced and score differently, and so if an applicant was lucky and got to one of us that scored higher, they might have a higher score just based on that. So what have you guys done, if anything, as office staff to look at which ones of us are maybe score higher or maybe ones that score lower? Have we looked at that at all? Is there a lot of variation or do the scores pretty much look similar?
The scores are pretty similar, but a couple of issues that we are trying to solve here is for the inter-rater and the intra-rater reliability. So like your reliability amongst yourself and then with the council.
Right.
So I'm going to do training. Debbie has set up training with each of the council members. So I'm going to go over the rubric, how to use Smart Simple, but the rubric itself will lend to inter-rater reliability.
Yeah.
And then what I also ask is when you read your first application, don't score that. Read at least 3 applications so that you can have in your mind, oh, this looks like I would score, according to the rubric, this would be 3. According to the rubric, this would be 5. That way you can have a little bit more of what you're expecting to see, what you're expecting to read. But then also for those council members who have been scoring for the past 2 cycles, I'm going to show your kind of like your state. I think they are
Distribution.
Huh?
Distribution.
Your distribution scores. And so Smart Simple does produce that number. And I was actually talking with Tyler and trying to give, maybe I'm going to spend a little bit more time with Tyler and Ron individually on scoring and what does a 5 look like, what does a 3 look like, that type of thing.
And then could in addition to that distribution for us, could we also just have the median score of the council members?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I can de-identify all of that.
This is the median score, like if I know that the average score or median
Right.
score of a, not grants analysts, not you or Sean, but like of us,
Mhm.
is it 80, is it 70, and I'm 95, or vice versa? That would be useful to me personally, to just try to rein myself in,
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
I'm being the Scrooge or the Santa.
Yes, absolutely. I will build that into our
I
one-to-one.
know we create work for you at every paragraph. I'm sorry, but it's just,
Well, that would not be that difficult because Smart Simple does give me those, those numbers. I'll just pull out the staff.
we just want to make sure good intentions are filtered through good processes.
Absolutely. Okay, and then a reminder on the allocation percentages. These were approved by the council after the first round, and then y'all also approved these for the second round. I don't have a request here to approve these again, but if there's any discussion, if anything needs to, anybody wants these to move, would be open to that discussion.
Everybody happy? I think we've kind of landed where we need to, and we're seeing how the applications are coming back and we're able to. All right.
I would say just like one thing, something to ponder is that the federal government has now withdrawn funding in some areas for harm reduction in critical areas. So I don't know if we need to increase our percentages, but just something to take note of.
And
Thank you for
then,
the comment.
and then with the 84 million, this would be the expected funding over 3 years using those percentages. Tommy has his hand raised.
Sorry, Mr. Farmer?
I was just going to comment, and should we also not take into consideration the reallocated money that was, or the monies that were reallocated by the legislature? I mean, we're committing and going to approve potential monies for cycle 3, and this is now being impacted.
Melissa and I talked about this during the break, and she's going to take the information that we received from the Attorney General's office and then redo the cash flow, and we could potentially bring that back to you guys if there is an emergency meeting or in September.
Yeah. Tommy, is your question a little bit about looking at where the 25 million one time and then the 4 million for 3 years and then the 10% going to the department, kind of how that's going to be spent? Because maybe, you know, I'm thinking that the department's probably going to cover all of these categories. Is there in terms of the funding you guys going to receive, is there something you're not, like education and training, y'all guys do some scholarships and stuff? I mean, do you cover all this?
We cover all of that, but the language specifically.
It's housing, isn't it?
It's treatment and
Okay.
recovery support.
Okay.
So, and also it could be prevention and harm reduction, but really it looks like it's going to fall under treatment.
You guys going to be heavy on the 40 and 20.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
If I'm hearing you correctly, Tommy, if there were a redistribution, what you're alluding to, am I correct in summarizing and saying that some of those monies are going to, Commissioner's telling us that she's going to be heavy in treatment and recovery support. So if we were going to reallocate, we might consider looking at reducing that. And then I've heard that federal funding is going down on harm, so there might be a potential where we might adjust that a bit. I think that's something that's important for us to remember. I don't know if y'all want to cover that today or cover it in a future meeting, because we won't have to make that decision until a little bit down the road till we start to award. But I think that's something for us to mull and consider. It feels to me the appropriate time to think about that is when we have more information from Melissa in terms of how some of these grants get approved.
Yeah, I think your next one. Quick question, the jail pilot, would think that would span many of these different areas, or is that a separate carve out?
That's a separate carve out.
Okay, so that's separate than this 100% here.
Yes.
Okay.
We will fix that for September meeting.
Okay. So we want to see updated numbers on what's in, what's out projected. We want to think about the fact that some of the monies the legislature has directed us to give to the department are going to be heavily weighted toward treatment and recovery support. We need to think about federal funding for harm reduction being reduced a bit in critical areas and we can't backfill the feds, but it does affect our ecology, our ecosystem, and then we need to correct the jail pilot program. Yes, ma'am. Finally, we hear from Lisa. Not very long, I've been waiting.
So great.
No, this is gonna be good.
It's good information. So I think I have a two-part question. One, I'm not 100% familiar on the jail pilot program. I know I've heard the phrase, but if we could get a little more info, even if it already went out once, if I could ask, get another pass at it.
Yep.
And in regard to that and other administrative costs of the AOC, is there a plan, a thought to develop a plan at how we're going to offset some of these costs that we now know are going to be reallocated? And in my opinion, very wisely to the department, because you all cover every bit of this stuff all over the state. You know where the needs are and how to direct that money. And then also TN.gov. In my perspective, the department and TN.gov have taken some hits just in some of the federal money that's came down, a whole lot of other things. So the need is definitely there, and I'm in full support of the legislature and that decision. Be that as it may, this is a big chunk of money that's going to need to be made up. I mean, in the ballpark of $42 million, roughly. 4 times 3 is 12, then plus 25. We're getting right at $40 million that we know is going to be spent for these purposes over 3 years. And I haven't heard much discussion about how that's going to be made up. So I fully understand there's money left on the table. There's unforeseen things that happened in our favor, but when you're in this position, you have to look at what you can cut as well. And my question is there a plan, I guess, internally to be looking at if some things need to be reduced, whether that's administrative costs with the AOC, whether that's other costs, because I'm not hearing any real cuts that's going to happen in light of that much money. That's going to be.
So we can bring back at our next meeting our administrative percentage and if we have any ideas on cuts.
Exactly. I think just kind of a plan B and a plan C if this happens, because I'm hearing that the will of the council seems to be, and I think everybody's heart is that we don't impact the agencies in the community doing good work, doing innovative things, and that's great. But there has to be a plan for how that's going to be made up as this money may not be there.
Okay, great. We can bring that to the next meeting.
And if I get more info on jail pilot.
Yes, we'll send that to you.
Can I ask a clarifying question for what you brought up? And I really appreciate what you said, Lisa. When you went over the budget that we looked at, even with taking out the money that the legislature approved, you still can cover what you've laid out. Mm-hmm. You still can cover it, right? And that doesn't include the settlement dollars that are coming in that were not a part of it. What I'm not understanding is if your budget's showing you can cover it, what's the concern from your vantage point, Lisa?
Well, the concern from my vantage point is this was $40 million that wasn't anticipated by anyone as these budgets were developed. And maybe there was a $40 million surplus in all those line item numbers before.
Yeah.
That now's just been adjusted, and it's still, I mean, even though it's only 2.9 million is a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot of money. It's a big buffer.
It's a whole lot of money. That's what I'm saying. She put that in her estimates. So if you go back and I want to make sure I'm understanding.
And I just wanted to understand too, because prior we could have had this basically $40 million surplus.
Right.
The 25, the 4, the 4, the 4.
Yeah, because in what she's put together, you got every distribution plus, if I'm correct in reading this, Melissa, the FY 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, That's what this council already agreed to. So basically, what's that showing is y'all were allowing a lot more money not to be allocated, okay? So that's fine. I guess I'm wanting to ask, why is there concern you can't do what you've laid out when this doesn't even include all the extra funds you're gonna get? Does that question make sense?
That question makes perfect sense, and because it doesn't include the extra funds, I think there's a little bit of ambiguity. There will be some extra funds, but I would like to see what it would look like if there did need to be any cuts. And there may not be.
That's what
So you're, sorry, Mr.
I still don't understand why anyone's concerned about cuts when you're covering everything, even with what has been added to us by the legislature. That, I'm not understanding the conversation around needing to cut.
If I may, I think if I'm recalling our previous discussion, not to take us back there, but I think the concern, Commissioner, was if there was subsequent reallocations of the existing budget by the legislature. But to your point, yes, I mean, if we look at ourselves as a not-for-profit, we want this to be zero at the bottom, you know, and so we should be able to handle our administrative costs, but to Lisa's point, ensuring for rainy days and those kind of
I got
things. I think
what you're saying, so I want to make sure I'm clear. As y'all sit today, you can cover everything you've done, even with what the legislature did. And as you sit today with what the legislature did, you're actually going to be funding the treatment and recovery through the grants that we do. So it's actually going to increase what you're funding for allowable costs, right? But what you're saying is, we want a plan B in the event there's another bit. And that, I see what you're saying.
And if I could, as we're saying, with this next round of grants, that we're committing to these dollars, plus the dollars we already have in play. That was my question, just that there's some proposed in this event, this would be what we look at.
I totally see what you're saying.
Okay.
Thank you, that helps me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, question, if we do a plan just in case there are more cuts or more reallocations, does that not tend to invite reallocation?
I think you know more about politics than I do. But I would say, you know, one of the wonderful things about this commission was, this council, is that it offered some new and innovative ways and some new voices to get money in the hands of people who didn't work. But
That's what
being
legislative in legislative discussion, that well, they've already got a plan to cover this. If we take another $20 million, it's no big deal, and it actually could be a big deal.
There is a holy text which says, according to the Elizabethan English I was trained on, sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. In other words, take care of your problems today. I would plan for the future, but I just, I take your point that if we make contingency plans, there could be further reductions. You know, we all have input in the legislature. We all have representatives. We can make our thoughts known. But we, as a council, we don't have control. We're created by them, not vice versa, in this regard. So we'll just have to see how they do. I am thankful that I think we can meet our obligations. I share Dr. Vanderpool's and Lisa's concerns, and that's why I think that, you know, September or at a meeting before then, Melissa's going to help us to see what we have. Lisa, to your consideration, you know, was there $40 million extra lying around me? Well, two things happened that weren't part of those budgets. One of them was anticipated, one of them was not. The unanticipated one was the legislature's bill that's now law. The other one that was anticipated but unrealized was further settlement funds came in, Purdue and some smaller ones. And so we got some additional money that weren't on the spreadsheet. Can't put it on the spreadsheet till it's there. So that put us in the black. legislature puts in the red on attorney projections. So I think it's going to be a wash, but I love a good spreadsheet. So we'll see it go. Yes, ma'am.
And one last comment, I do think there have been projects that have come before the council and kind of like the additional carve out for the jail pilot. And I'm not referencing it because I can't recall exactly the details of it. But I know at times there have been things that have been brought before the council that haven't gone through the grant process. This appears, or the budget that was up there appeared to me to be an outstanding detailing of anticipated expenses, line by line, year by year, category by category, and anticipated revenues that we knew were coming. Excellent. But when we come to these meetings and there may be a special project that comes on the board, this person has approached the council to do this project that may be a fabulous project, but there are things that come before us that we have always been able to say, well, we have this amount in the reserve fund, we have this request before us. To Dr. Cohen's point about the federal reduction and harm reduction fund availability. Those things are real. They happen all the time. And this council may be asked to make a decision. Is there a project that would be excellent for us to do? And we have it in reserve. And that's where I think that we need a really good understanding of, as things come before us, what do we really have to work with what we're already committed to?
I think one thing we may want to consider, and this doesn't have to be done in cycle 3, because we've already announced the amount. Now, again, better to reduce the amount that's announced than to award and then have to retract. There are levels of embarrassment here. Cancel contract convenience. There are levels of going back on your word. So quantitative easing, I guess. But the one thing we might consider is in cycle 4, for instance, reducing by 10% the amount that we award, because legislators directed us to take 10% of received funds and put it back in the farm. So that might be something we want to consider in order to have it. I take your point that special circumstances come up. My moral angst about the special projects is that when you look at $500 million requested and 84 granted, that is, a low hit rate on grants. And I don't know what our hit rate is on granting special projects, but I know that we all want to fund things. That's why we're serving. And so when you put one thing up before somebody and say up or down, vote on this, our bias is going to be get the money out the door to vote on a good project. And my concern is that when things are presented outside the grant process, that it has a greater chance of being approved than if it's in the grant process, because it's competing. When you bring it up specially, it's competing against a no. When you bring it up with a $500 million other dollar request, it's competing against a lot of good things. And so I don't want to tie our hands, and our documents do provide us our statutes and policies provide us the ability to take on special projects. But my concern is in terms of equity and fairness, that the grant process is the most vetted that we have. And we don't want to create an apple and oranges situation where the easiest way to get money is to run it outside the grant agencies. We want to be fair to everyone. Filibuster now, we need to move on. Kim, any loose ends? We're okay moving forward? Lisa, we address you first. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got,
Capital fund.
yes, 2 potential decisions for the council to consider for cycle 3. The first is capital funding. For cycle 1 and cycle 2, the council set a cap at 8%. And if we all were to do that for cycle 3, 8% of 84 million is 6.7 million. In discussing this with a couple of y'all in the one-to-ones, there was a request for more information, like have the grantees been spending the capital funds, that type of thing. We don't have that information for today's meeting. We can bring it, and we do plan to bring it to the September meeting. So I do have will you consider a motion, or if you want to wait till September, we're happy to do that as well.
I'd make a motion to table this until September and also ask for, I think we need to think about just inflation adjusted. Just get the costs over the end of the increase, so.
Yeah, and we could do a grid, like what does 8% look like, 9%, whatever.
Yeah, especially given these multi-year awards and things are only gonna get more expensive, so.
Have a motion to table. Dr. Perry?
I second.
Somebody seconded online.
Tommy.
Sounded like Mr. Farmer. Thank you, sir. Motion and second. Any discussion? Having no discussion, we call for the question. Please proceed to the roll call vote.
Ron Duck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Cornette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett.
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Martin.
Yes.
Okay, and we will bring that to the September meeting. Thank you.
Motion passed to table. So we did not agree to the 8%. We just on it.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, the next one. Of the 301 so we received 301 applications. All of those applications received a very thorough review by the OAC office. There were 5 of us, Nathan, me, Melissa, Mark, and David. We reviewed the applications to make sure that all the documents were included, they were meeting the eligibility, met the qualifications. Of those, out of the gate, 187 met qualifications and 114 did not meet qualifications. When we were looking at these, the primary reasons for not meeting eligibility, they did not include their operating budget, their agency's operating budget. They did not include their financials that were showing cash flow. They requested more funding than was allowed by the announcement of funding, or they had not been in business for 24 months. So giving some of the examples here. However, there were 21 applications that met all the criteria except for this one part that was newly added to the announcement of funding, which is the total community grant budget request must not exceed the organization's annual operations budget. And as I explained in the one-to-ones, if they ask for $300,000 at $100,000 over 3 years, but their annual operating budget was $200,000, they would not have met this because of the $100,000 versus the $200,000. If we move this, and I'm curious if there was a misunderstanding on the agency's part, but if we move this to where we were looking at the amount that they've requested to their 1 year operating budget, it would allow for those 21 applicants who did not meet that criteria to move on to scoring. So I'm bringing that to the council for consideration.
Am I understanding this correctly? What we said was, if you have $100,000 a year is your operating budget, and you ask for $200,000, you got kicked out.
That's right.
And do you think the spirit of what we asked for was, the spirit of it was, we didn't want them to ask for more money than they spent in a year usually?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And the spirit of it is to make sure that that agency has the resources or knowledge, skills, and ability to manage the money, because that's one.
Fighting on what they choose.
Right. That's one thing Sean and Melissa have seen is when they are awarded more money than they're used to managing, then we have issues.
Like winning the lottery.
Right.
So I have a question or comment regarding this for really more of a point of clarification. My understanding was it was not just that it was the 200K request with 100,000 operating budget, but if it was a 200K request over 2 or 3 years, that actually makes the annual request sub 100,000's annual operating budget. So is that what we're talking about, Mary, where we're saying we're trying to clarify if somebody made a $200,000 request, but they have a 100,000 operating budget, but the $200,000 request was for a 2 or 3 year grant, does that then fall back within their yes. overview, or would that's what I was trying to bring to the attention. So it wasn't just that, oh, we don't think they can spend $200,000. It's a time frame over which they're intending to spend it.
Yes.
very different if they're trying to spend that 200K over 2 or 3 years versus trying to spend a 200K, double their annual operating budget in 1 year.
So what we don't want is somebody trying to spend more grant money in a year than they're used to managing in a year.
That's right. That's right.
Is that the idea?
Yes,
So the annual allocate, we don't want the annual allocation to exceed their annual operating.
that's right.
Correct. I think.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That was my original understanding. It's a year-to-year thing, not based on what the total grant was.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just had a question. Was this in the actual grant request for proposals that we put out? Was this requirement in there?
Yes.
So now are we going back and trying to change
Yes.
that on after deadlines closed and after other people may not have applied because they read that requirement and they did not meet it? Does that raise some legal questions, Sam, that I understand changing it in the future. I'm a little concerned about changing it after it's gone out and people have applied and the deadline is closed and we're changing the rules after the game's over.
I think we can obviously look into it. I don't know off the top of my head if that would okay legally, but I understand the question and the sentiment behind it, sure. So happy to look into it.
Junior Flynn, I share your concern. I think this is something that we need to correct. I think the question is, do we need to correct it retrospectively or prospectively? I think the safest thing is to correct it prospectively, meaning in cycle 4, we change this language that annual allocation does not exceed annual operating budget. So I think that's the cleanest way to handle this, because if I'm understanding your point correctly, General Friend, somebody who did not apply who would then have a grievance.
I would have applied but for that one requirement and I read it
and now you allow Billy Bobby in.
And now you put another 20 something folks in.
Yep.
That didn't follow it.
Any other voices?
I would share the same concern.
All right, Tommy. So to give our staff direction here, they've asked us a question, so I think we should have a vote. So we need a motion to approve this change, or we need a motion to reject this change.
Motion to reject.
I have a motion from Mr. Farmer to not approve this change.
Second.
Second, Dr. Moore. Any further discussion? To be very clear, if you vote in the affirmative, you're voting to reject this change for cycle 3. We might then consider anything we want to for cycle 4, but this is to reject this retrospective change. No further discussion. We'll call for the vote. Roll call, Mary.
Ron Buck.
Yes.
Clay Jackson.
Yes.
Ken Moore.
Yes.
Lisa Tipton.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Ron Allen.
Yes.
Tim Burnett.
Yes.
Tommy Farmer.
Yes.
Tyler Barrett.
Yes.
Shane Sexton.
Yes.
Debbie Vanderpool.
Yes.
Wayne White.
Yes.
Thank you. Review policies.
Okay, I have one new policy and two policies that went through annual revision. And in your packet, you have a clean copy of the community grants policy, which is the new policy. In the email that y'all received, you have received the clean copy of the community grants, but you also received a clean copy of the two policies that were revised, that I printed out Okay, I printed out the track changes just so that you can see what was revised. So the first policy up for discussion and potential approval is the community grants policy. And this, to me, it will help us on two fronts. It'll help Sean and I know how to run the office. Like we're putting into policy what the practice has been for allocating the 65% of the trust fund. We have staffed the office, we've built the resources, we have the processes. That way we know how to continue forward with running the office. On the second front, it lets the community, the public know how we're going to allocate and award the 65%. And so it goes through the whole process of starting the community grants process, awarding, paying, monitoring. It takes you through the life cycle of the community grant. Any questions?
Move approved.
Second.
Have a motion for approval of this policy, Dr. Moore, seconded by Dr. Barrett. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed with the question. Roll call vote, please, Mary.
Brian Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson.
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Powell,
Yes.
Tim Burnett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
All right, and then the next two policies have already been approved by the council. It's the OAC office responsibilities and OAC communication policy. But per our policy, we take all of the policies through an annual review, and over the past couple of meetings, we have brought revised policies to you all for revision or an approval. I look at these, Sean looks at these, Sam and JP review these. We just need to make sure that they are up to date with any new laws, some grammatical changes. Oh, well, the process it needs to kind of be like this, or we have a new definition. Those are a lot of the revisions. Any questions?
I had a question about media requests. I don't think we get a lot of them, but 451. As of yesterday, before I saw this, if somebody said, "Hey, Clay, what do you think about the opioid thing?" I would say, that needs to go to Mary. This says Director of Office of Communications for the department is the point of contact for all inquiries.
I think.
So I don't call you, I'm supposed to call the department.
I think, well, if you receive a media inquiry, yes, please reach out to me. I work with Matthew Perriott, the Director of Communications,
Okay.
when there's a media inquiry. And we have that on our contact page as well.
Okay.
For any media inquiries, please contact Matthew. He's the PIO for the
But
department.
it's okay to tell you first because I don't know Matthew's number.
Please.
Okay.
I have Matthew on speaker.
I mean, once you make a policy, I want to try to put up with it and do what I'm supposed to do.
I thank you very much.
All right. We do read some of these things. Okay, any questions or further discussion?
Move approved.
We have a motion for approval from Dr. Moore, second by Dr. Barrett.
And these are both policies.
We need to take them one at a time.
Okay, one at a time. Okay.
This is the communication policy. We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Call it.
Ron Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson.
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn.
Yes.
Ron Powell,
Yes.
Tim Burnett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne White.
Yes.
Passes. Next policy is office responsibility.
Motion to approve.
If you want to say anything about it before we approve it or disapprove it?
I'm happy to have this policy. I love a good policy.
Very good policy. All right. Well, she's tracking changes in here, and I do thank you so much for bringing this out. It's very helpful for us to see how it came. So that's it slipped in.
And I'll give a big shout out to Marie McGraw, our senior policy analyst, who is herding these cats. So thank you, Marie.
So we have a motion, Dr. Barrett, second. Dr. Cowan. Duly motion is seconded. Any discussion? Call question. Roll call vote.
Brian Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson, Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton, Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Burnett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne White.
Yes.
Okay, I have one more item. I think
Remediation.
we'll find it. Yes. Remediation list. So I'm bringing this request to the council to consider revising the remediation list, and that is just to replace the term harm reduction with these specific terms. In July of 2025, SAMHSA, which is the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Agency, federal agency, they replaced the term harm reduction with these terms and phrases. And for a couple of reasons, we're bringing this to you all. Our agencies are also funded by the Department of Mental Health and other federal and state agencies, so it helps align with our words align with their words. Also, many times these agencies create public-facing documents, and this way, when they are creating those documents, they're using the terms and phrases that other agencies across the nation are using. So we sent out in an email the remediation list with just a red line showing the harm reduction convicted, and then where appropriate to add those terms and phrases. Thank you to Nathan for going through the document. It does not remove any covered services or items by the Opioid Abatement Council. It just changes the word from harm reduction to one of these terms or phrases. And these terms and phrases came from SAMHSA. They did not come from the Opioid Abatement Council.
And this would basically go through all of our documents, communications, right? It's kind of a time of embrace.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, going through using cycle 3 and Smart Simple, it still has harm reduction in it. And so for cycle 4, I will come back and update those. So this is going to be a little piece at a time.
I'd just like to point out that this replaces 2 words with 14, but
You're welcome.
Are you sure? Did you double check that math?
I did double check the math. I did pay the taxes to the federal government to make this change. So I'm not in the 1%, but I am doing my part.
And I reviewed these and to the best of my brain power decided they didn't exclude anything that we would think of as harm.
It does sound right. I mean, it's.
Yeah, they're vague like, yeah. It didn't seem- Like
Motion to approve.
Second, Tim Fournette.
Wayne and Tim have moved, seconded. Any further discussion? The motion is let there be more words. Call the vote.
Brian Buck,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Tim Burnett,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Tyler Barrett,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Wayne Whitehall.
The lawyer votes for more words.
Yeah, we know you should you recuse yourself? Are you part of Big Toner? The toner should be drained out. Okay. The Opioid Abatement Council shall reserve a period for public comment to provide the public with the opportunity to comment on matters that are relevant to the items on the agenda for the meeting. At the appropriate time, which is now, the chair will open the meeting for public comment. Guests speaking in person shall make the intent to speak known, and the chair will recognize the individual. If you're in person, please raise your physical hand. If you are virtual, please raise your vertical hand. We will make our best attempts to find you, and you'll find that icon located at the bottom of the screen toward the middle, and it is next to the unmute tab on your Teams Screen. WebEx, pardon me, new administration, WebEx. And please do understand, I think if you've been here before, you know this, first or in person, we do not answer questions or basically respond as a debate or discussion. This is for comment, and we do reserve the right to adjust the time so that hopefully everyone has a chance to speak if more than one person wishes to speak. So I'll start with our analog attendees. Any public comments? Going once, going twice. Let there be less words. Okay. Now for virtual, anybody online with your hand up?
We had a Daniel Bush had his hand raised. And he should be.
Bush?
Should be
Yes,
able to.
I'm here. So I wanted to say something about the state taking this money from you guys. My son died of an opioid overdose, and there's an awful lot of people who are in my position. Our kids' lives paid for these opioid settlement funds. So we want to see these funds used for the best possible purposes. We appreciate the work the OAC has done. Y'all have dedicated your time to funding only the best grant proposals. Now the state's taken $34 million over the next year to fund state agencies. It's our belief that the state has the responsibility to fund its own agencies and that this money was supposed to be used for community grants. A lot of those grants aren't going to be funded because the state's taken this money. So the specific questions that I have that I would like to see answered, and I understand you're not going to answer right now, is one, how many grants could have been funded for really good purposes, but won't be because of this legislation? The second thing is the question that Tommy Farmer raised earlier, which is, how do we know that the state next year isn't going to want another 25 million of these funds, or I think even more than that? And the third question is, this money is going to go into, a lot of this money, the 25 million specifically, is going into DMHSAS funds, but those, where it's going to be commingled with other funds. Somebody needs to do some kind of audit to make sure that the money actually does go to those with co-occurring conditions. And the final thing is, I don't know where the opposition is in Tennessee to this. I mean, there should be opposition. Thank you.
Can I respond? This question, please.
The source of them not.
Okay, that's fine.
So, Mr. Bush, thank you for your questions and comments. As for protocol and usual practice, as you said, we won't answer the questions this time. But I'm gonna take privilege on behalf of council and say that we're very sorry for your personal loss of your son. We appreciate you being with us on the meeting today. We want to express our condolences for your loss, and that's why all of us who work in the state agencies and also on this commission are here. And we want to work very hard as you're giving your time as well to try to ensure that in the future your lives are lost. So thank you for that comment. Is anyone else?
You all have done a great job. I appreciate the work you guys have done.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Anybody else have their hand raised?
Not seeing any. I do see Miss Linda with Independence again. That's her name.
Linda?
I will
He's
promote.
got a promoter.
She should be able to unmute now.
Linda?
Hello. I did write my comment or question in the messages, but I wanted to, I guess, expound on that. With our organization, we asked for a larger amount than our typical budget, and you had mentioned that that wasn't allowed. However, I do believe we put in the grant that we have physical responsibility, and we've done this before where we've secured a loan in order to make a capital purchase and then be reimbursed by the grant. So would that be automatically excluding our grant just because it excludes the 1 year budget or the 3 year budget over time? For example, if we ask for 2 million, but over the 3 year, we only have 1.97.
I would encourage you to raise that with the office staff, by email, et cetera. Any of those type of questions, please email, and that email is available on the website. Thank you for the question. Anyone else have their hand raised?
See none.
Miracle of miracles, we're gonna give you 11 minutes of your life back. I want to thank everyone who is online today, particularly those who are not even council members or staff, those members of the public that have volunteered their time online and here in person. You know, if it's bad, Tennessee's on the list. And if it's good, sometimes we're not at the top. We have a lot of challenges. The NASCAR circuit, the moonshine circuit, the opioid highways. If you look at social determinants of health and difficult things that happen to people, you know, the Southeastern Conference doesn't lead in terms of health outcomes. We all have significant challenges ahead of us, and that's true from, you know, Blount County to Shelby County and all points in between. But it's people like you guys that are making the difference. And we didn't begin with our wine. We had a little bit different plan. But I think the gentleman who lost his son closes with our wine today. And so regardless of how funds are allocated, where they come from, where they go, regardless of how things change and which names are on the badges, I have confidence in the names. I have confidence in the people around the table in this room and online today. And we're going to continue to do good work. Here in Tennessee, you're going to die. We're going to have more birthdays. We're going to have more anniversaries. Have more people that leave incarceration and head to jobs instead of heading back to the streets. We have more people get their lives back because of the work you're doing. Sleep well at night because you're doing good work. Meeting's adjourned.